So I decided today to kind of do things a little different. Sitting here with me is a longtime buddy of mine. Trey and I go way back to the Weber College, not Weber International University, but the Weber College days back in the mid to late 90s. He's here representing C21 with Michelle and Trey Real Estate here based out of Lake Wales. And we just kind of want to share why we live where we live here in Central Florida. Trey?
Hey, I thank you. It was awesome to come to the home office of I see your videos. Dude, I'm impressed. The triple screens. I haven't gotten that yet, so I got to talk to Michelle about this, and I got to talk to this. Like, I've got double screens, but triple screens, like, I could also do iRacing on that. Like, I could do some stuff and have some fun, but Frostproof, obviously kind of like the southern tip of Polk County. You and I have been friends for a long time, and we've done business. We do business. We also have fun together, too. Oh, yeah. And you took me to Michigan not too long ago, and I'm looking forward to doing that again. But yes, Michelle and Trey Real Estate is a big proponent of Jason True and True Lending, and I look forward to talking about this because this is something you and I've talked about as why are we here? And I've had, being in college athletics, we had players that, like, they came to this area, they didn't stay. Now, when I went to Florida Southern, which is funny, over in Lakeland, I had players that came to Lakeland and they stayed in Lakeland. And it's funny to think about, like, you and I being this Frostproof Lake Wales Babson Park. We came here, and by God, we stayed here. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So let's dive into why is there a lure to stay in these godforsaken small communities.
Well, I'll start out. My family was born and raised here, or my family migrated to Frostproof in 1897 from Charleston and the Barnwell, South Carolina area. And Frostproof has been home. My grandparents graduated from here. My parents, my aunt, my uncles, they all graduated here. My two younger sisters and I did, and both of my daughters have graduated from Frostproof. But to me, it's the small town camaraderie, it's the friendships, it's the families. You know, some of my friends growing up in high school, their parents went to high school with my parents. And I've traveled all across this country, from Spokane, Washington to New York City, down into El Paso. Matter of fact, next month I'm going out to PennyMac, one of our wholesale lenders out in Los Angeles. So traveled all over, but personally for me, I like knowing people and, you know, knowing a lot of people, but I also like being able to drive 10 miles and it takes me about 15 minutes to get there. Yeah. I guess that's my biggest draw. You know, a lot of friends of mine that went off to college, some of them stayed away for 10 or 15 years, but there's this drawback to a small town where they're actually moving back to Southeast Polk County, or, you know, now or in the next 10 years to be able to raise their kids here. Because I don't know about you growing up, but on a Friday or Saturday night, for me, if I did something stupid before I got home, my parents knew about it already. So that's what I like about the small town.
Yeah, no, I agree. I will tell you, I grew up, my parents, when I was young, we lived in Winter Haven. We lived in Auburndale. We lived in Lake Alfred. My dad got the job at Weber. We lived on Rainbow Boulevard in Babson Park. And from 13 years old on, Babson Park was a part of my life. I met my wife in Babson Park. I worked in Babson Park. And the funny thing is Frostproof was always kind of like, that was the southern region of Babson Park. And then we would go into Lake Wales. And for me, I'm like you. I like knowing people. And it's funny because in our business environment, it's Michelle and Trey. Michelle is the reason we have the business. Trey is the public part of that. Michelle would rather just do business all day long. And it's not that she's cruel or she doesn't want to talk to people. Her job is, let me just do the business. And she's always amazed. We flew into Arizona one day. We were in Phoenix, Arizona. I was going to play a tennis tournament, and we landed, and we're walking through the terminal, and all of a sudden you hear this guy go, Trey Heath. And Michelle's exact words were, holy shit. We are in Phoenix, Arizona, and someone knows who you are. And we turn around, and it's a pilot. Well, it was a pilot he had graduated from Embry-Riddle University back when I was a player. And he was a pilot for a charter airline. And we didn't go out to dinner the first 2 years we met. We didn't even go out to dinner in Winter Haven because every time we went out, someone would be like, Trey. And she's like, I don't understand. Everywhere we go, people know you. But that was my life as a kid because of my parents, my mom, my dad, my stepmom. We lived a public lifestyle. And Michelle, her parents, Babson Park, McAllister's, Mini Max, that was their home. Why do you need to leave that? And they traveled all over the place. But when they traveled outside of that zone, they were anonymous. With my dad's sports life, racing cars, me playing tennis, our public life was public. We were outside of that realm. So when we came to our quiet spot, it was nice. It was nice to go to McAllister's Grocery and just walk around, or go to Mini Max, or go to Weber, and everybody treated you as normal. And for the first couple of years of marriage, 23 years here in the next couple of days, that was a tough sell for Michelle of like, everywhere we go, people know who you are. And now the reason it's Michelle and Trey is because she's the boss. And I don't mean that negatively. She is the one. Who do you talk to? You don't talk to me on the phone.
No, I don't talk to you at all. I talk to Michelle.
Yeah, you talk to Michelle because she's the one doing the deals. I'm the one that goes out and starts those relationships, but she's the one that finishes that project.
Well, it kind of goes back to say that, on the mortgage side, you can either work in your business or you can work on your business. Yeah. And with my coach, it's like, hey, you need to work on your business, but it's just me. So I work in my business, but I also work on my business. And that's part of the marketing, the building relationships and things like that, where Michelle is doing all the paperwork, writing contracts, negotiating offers and things like that, where you're out meeting people and developing relationships, which in this business, it is all about relationships. Like Trey said, I've known him for years, and up until we went to United Wholesale Mortgage, or UWM, we were friends. We'd have a drink together, but I really never developed a business relationship with Trey and Michelle. And going back to the trip to Michigan, I just briefly, what did you get out of that trip going up to United Wholesale Mortgage?
Oh, I will tell you, it was cool. It was first of all, on a completely non-related note, I am a huge Eminem fan. We passed 8 Mile, and I was like, that is so cool. And then we passed 9 Mile, 10 Mile, 11 Mile, and 12 Mile, and I thought, well, they're just roads. So that was one. But two, the size of the campus, the fact that there were so many people, but those people are handling aspects that I don't need to know about. The person that I need to know about, they were there. And it was like, oh, so all these other people are doing the job behind the scenes, but the guy I need to talk to, he's available. And I really thought that was amazing. The size, it's a beautiful campus. What they've done is amazing with the amount of people that they have, but they keep it personable. Mm-hmm. When we were there, they do these tours all the time, but you felt like they only do this tour once a year, and it's for me. I really thought that. I felt that, and it was educational, and I think that's one of the reasons why Michelle and I have kind of made that decision of like, hey, we got options here. We deal with Jason a lot, and through that experience of me going up there, it's kind of like, okay, well, they give a damn. We sat through the sales meeting, and I hate sales meeting. I hate rah stuff. Mm-hmm. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. But we sat through that, and I'm like, but there's actually information here. The only thing that was weird was the fact that like when they were done, there were guys, and I'm guessing they were newbies, like running off to go do stuff. But like the context of an agent, a real estate agent going in and like, they actually give a damn. Mm-hmm. They care. They care about my sale right now. So that was really cool. And the expansiveness of the facility and what they do, and the fact that they do it personably in such a corporate setting.
Yeah. And that's why, with a UWM, you saw the amount of employees they have, and mm-hmm. like their underwriters, if they do VA loans, they strictly underwrite VA loans.
Yeah.
And it's streamlined, and it's quick, it's efficient, all with great rates, actually. So, but I know Casey came up as well. Yep. A couple days afterwards, she called me and was just super grateful, and being able to see what that back end process really looks like.
We're trying to get Michelle there.
We are trying to get Michelle there.
We're going to get her there.
There'll be many more trips available.
We're going to get her there.
So what are you seeing right now? For me on the mortgage side, I keep up with the real estate side, and I'm sure you on the real estate side keep up with the interest rates.
Yeah,
that's the only key factor that agents and buyers, that's their top priority, or top thing to know is, what's the interest rates? But right now, we're in a very tight market. Inventory is at ultra lows. Demand is still there, even at rates in the 7%. Demand is still there. Where do you see us going in the next 2 to 3 years?
Well, we're dealing right now with an investor on one of our things. And it's funny because they're both smart corporate people. They're doing this as an investment for the future. Rates, if I'm honest, rates suck for a consumer at this point. Yeah. It is what it is. They are what they are. And that old adage, buy the house, date the rate, marry the house. Yeah, it's all, excuse my French, it's all kind of BS. It's expensive. Money's expensive. Money's expensive right now. But do we think it's going to stay that way forever? Historically, no, it hasn't. So we have people right now that are needing homes for either a rental. We have people that are, guess what? Jobs change. They got to move. There are people that have to move. I'm going to go back historically, 2007, 2008. My in-laws, who are the owners of the company that we work for, 2007, they had a great year.
Oh, yeah.
2008, when the market crashed, they had a great year. The funny thing was, the prices changed, but because of the relationships they had built, they sold the same amount of homes. Mm-hmm. There are agents in our area that are doing an amazing job, because guess what? People need homes. Michelle and I really try to build those relationships. And then we say, hey, if you need this right now, we have a couple we're working with right now. They're looking for an investment property. They know the cost of this home is fantastic. The interest rate, not great. They know 3 or 4 years from now, if they're actually wanting to do this as an investment piece, rates are going to come down. Or they're working on pulling money from one area so that they don't have to spend as much money on another. There are ways to make this work for you. But we're in Polk County. Polk County is in between Hillsborough and Orange. Guess what 2 of the largest growing areas are in Florida? Hillsborough and Orange. We're still selling homes. We're going to continue selling homes because we're cheaper than Hillsborough and Orange. And I will say right now I think we're at 1.8 months inventory. Yes, we're still hot, but I think the interest rates have slowed us down a little bit. I think it's one of those things people need an item. Mm-hmm. If they need that item, they're going to buy that item. We're going to choke it up. We're going to do what we can do. You and I, we're going to be like, cool, we got business. But we're also going to do that. What we do also really well in that small town atmosphere is we're not going to say, fantastic, we made it. We're going to look back 6 months from now and say, interest rates have dropped. Have you thought about doing this? Michelle and I are going to look at, hey, we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to go to those mortgage brokers. One of the best things that ever happened, and this is not real estate, when Michelle and I bought our first big truck, we bought a GMC 3/4 ton. Beautiful. It's what I wanted. We bought it. Our interest rate sucked. 6 months into the deal, we got a call from Mid-Florida Bank. Hey, interest rates have dropped. Have you thought about doing? And we did that deal. That kind of set the tone of we needed to do what we wanted to do at that moment. Things can change. And we looked at and that's where you have your financial advisors, your accountant, if you're in this business, you're in this business. If you're an investor, you look at those and you look at your financial advisor and you go, hey, is this a good move? And when we did that, we're like, this is a good move. Mm-hmm. And we've owned multiple big trucks now, and we make those moves all the time. So on the real estate side, don't be scared. Yes, the interest rates suck. It's not his fault. It's not my fault. It's government policies. It is what it is. If you have to move
back to Dr. Murray, don't we?
Yeah.
By the way, our economics professor.
Can I say that his most famous quote?
Go ahead. Dr.
Murray, awesome, from Iowa, middle America. I will never forget in 1994, sitting in his macroeconomics class. If you want to get the best tax benefits you can, you need to have 3.2 kids.
Yes, he said that to me in probably 1996 or 97.
You want to figure that one out? I'm gonna give you the microphone. 3.2 kids.
I'm not going to try to figure out how to have 3.2 kids. But as rates, so let's talk about supply and demand real quick.
Yeah.
Interest rates, right? The good thing is housing, for a lot of people, they think it's crazy, it's astronomical, it's not affordable. Here in Central Florida, it is a lot more affordable to buy a house here versus New York, California, Miami, West Palm, Broward counties, and places like that. And that's why we're seeing a large influx of people from California, from New York. I think COVID had a lot to do with that from a political standpoint, which I won't go there. But even from South Florida, they're tired, as they call it, the rat race. If you drive 5 miles, it takes you an hour sometimes. Yeah. You probably could have walked there quicker than driven it. But over the last 12, 18 months, as the rates have come up on mortgages, it has slowed down the rate of appreciation or the values of homes going up at a faster pace than what they would have if rates would have stayed down in the 3.5%.
Well, that's that absurd growth of things are just going because people are saying it's going. It's like when something pops on the internet, all of a sudden it's the most popular thing for 15 minutes. On the house side, I think with our rates, we're kind of like, oh, okay, we're growing, but we're growing.
Correct.
more
Correct.
normal.
Correct. And here locally in the state of Florida, we're still seeing appreciating values. Home prices are not going down. They're not coming down. They're not going to be coming down. I recently heard a stat here. I think it was 85% of all homeowners that have a mortgage right now, Trey, has a 5% or less mortgage rate. Okay. So you might have that couple that bought this 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with a husband and wife and 2 kids. Each kid has their own bedroom, and then they had a 3rd child. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to pay 7% when I'm at 3.75. We're just going to stay where we are. So that's decreased the inventory to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as rates do come back down, I hope they come down and stay around the 5.5%. To me, that's a stable mortgage rate.
And that's not bad money cost.
No.
I mean,
at 3.5%.
As an investor, 5.5%, if I can make 5.5% on that, I'm not complaining. And
correct.
As an interest rate, so that's where you have to start playing that. Okay, do I find if I'm at 5 and I can make something at 6? That's where you have to be in a really good investor, even as just a homeowner.
Mm-hmm. But I would say that most homeowners don't think of themselves as investors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some consumers that buy a house look at buying a house just the same way they do a truck.
But do they think of
because
when they buy a home?
I'll say this: every month that I make a mortgage payment, I'm writing a check, putting it into my savings account. That's the way I view it, because historically, home values have appreciated. The home is the majority of people's largest asset. The majority of their net worth comes from their home. That truck you bought, the truck I own.
Yeah.
It's worth less now than what I paid for it.
Well, that Jeep I showed up in today, I can tell you it's cool as hell, but it ain't worth what it was when I paid for it.
But
so I have a question for you. Can I be devil's advocate?
Go ahead.
So we buy these homes. We're all told, own a home. Own a home.
That's the American dream.
There are costs of owning a home.
Oh, yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with those costs. We're all going to put money into our homes. Modernizing them, doing whatever, putting a new... I'm 20 years into my 15-year roof. I got to put a new roof on. Like that's it. That's where I am at this point. That investment piece. I think what we need to realize as a community whole, when you buy a home, did you enjoy the time you spent in that home?
Good point.
My daughter is 20 years old. At 17 years old, we bought our home 4 months into our marriage. It was our starter home. I spent, and I'm going to say this publicly, I spent over $11,000 to make the property surrounding my home the way I wanted it. We've put a new roof on. We've done fence work. We've done other things. We've done things.
Mm-hmm.
On top of, we paid off a 30-year mortgage before 30 years was up. It's my home.
Yeah.
I think what we've lost is we all think of investments now. We all think of money.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody thinks of it's YouTube, it's Facebook, it's Twitter, it's TikTok. You buy a home because you think it's someplace you're going to enjoy living. We get asked, should I put a pool in? Do you want a pool? If you want a pool, put a pool in. It doesn't mean I cleared off my property. It doesn't mean I increased the value of my property. I cleared off my property so that my wife and I, Michelle, could walk our 3 dogs every single day. We go for a walk on our property.
Mm-hmm.
It's turned into a park. It doesn't mean, I think people forget that home ownership it's something you want to do versus we can make money on this.
Mm-hmm. And I guess for me, coming from a finance background and all that, um, all but my kids and my wife, everything I have is for sale.
Yeah.
For the right price, everything is for sale.
I've got something for you on that. Many years ago, before I was ever real estate ever even crossed my mind, Bernie Little. If anybody's from this area, Bernie Little Distributing is one of the. If you are in the beer distributing, there are certain areas you have rights to that area. Mm-hmm. Bernie Little Distributing. He owned a home in Winter Haven, and one of my friends was selling a home, and Bernie Little said, "Everything I own is for sale for the right price." I was a tennis coach. I was a USPTA professional just teaching tennis. I wasn't in coaching or any, and he was a member of that club, and I heard that. And that really put a perspective on, yeah, everything we have is for sale. But it doesn't mean I'm going to make money on it. It means if someone wants to buy my Jeep mm-hmm. for the right price, I'll sell my Jeep. I don't care. But when you buy that home, it's an investment for you.
Correct.
You. Money is tight right now. Fantastic. If you can afford to buy that home and it's for you and it makes you happy in that home, buy the home. And that's where Michelle and I kind of fall out on that. And if that's right or wrong, I don't care. If it's for you and your family. If you want to put a pool in, put a pool in. If you want a house because it has a view of, we actually showed property that, and this is correct, we showed property that all the lady cared about was water view, not lake view. One of the homes we showed was on a retention pond, but because it was water view, she thought it was mm-hmm. appropriate. This has nothing to do with Michelle or Trey or Jason True or True Lending or anything. What do you want and what makes you happy? And that's where
I'm going to tell you this, Trey. I just closed a loan for a veteran and his wife. And of course, the wife is normally going to be the one that that makes that final decision on the house they want to purchase. And grateful to help them use the Hometown Heroes program as well. And there was one requirement for the wife. She had to have a kitchen that had a window above the kitchen sink so she could see in the backyard. That was it.
All the other, doesn't matter.
Did not matter.
2-1, 3-2.
Did not matter.
Yep, got to be able to see out.
I've never had a window looking out my kitchen sink into the backyard.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, for you home buyers, for you home sellers, what do you really want? We get people, you know this, because you deal with this on a normal basis. We want this. And then all of a sudden you show them 15 properties and you're like, well, what we really want is this. And you're like, hold on. What do you really want?
What do you really want?
What do you really want? Yeah. And Michelle and I mean, we've been married for 23 years. And one of the biggest things for us was we're very fortunate. We found a house back in 2000 that was on 8.5 acres. It was scrub Florida. And one of our dreams was, we just want to have a park. Well, guess what? In 2022, we were finally able to create that park. Mm-hmm. And we looked at, I cry when it's animals. The first day that Ronnie Averett came out and started clearing that, I sent a video and I was crying. Like, this is what we dreamed of. It doesn't have to take 22 years to get to that dream, but what do you want? And do you think that the home that you're buying can create that dream? Mm-hmm. And I mean, your media guy, he's lived that dream. You've lived that dream. You're in Frostburg. If you're in the town you want, you're in a beautiful home. I'm very appreciative to be here. You're right across from a lake. I mean, I don't live on Crooked Lake. And as a local mortgage guy, you know the Crooked Lake is my family that live on Crooked Lake. It is. It's funny when I have friends that say, "Hey, we were at a Crooked Lake this weekend." I'm like, "Oh, okay. You live there?" And I'm like, "No, I live on the railroad tracks, but my in-laws and my mom and dad live on Crooked Lake." Oh my god, it's so beautiful. And it's like, do what.
Sometimes we take it for granted.
Yes,
that
this area.
I mean, because like right here in Polk County, even down in Highlands County, Sebring, Lake Placid, Avon Park.
It's a great area.
There are so many things to do. You know, I always hear other people go, you know, I wish we'd get this. You know, there's nothing for the kids to do around here. There's plenty of stuff.
Plenty of kids.
There's plenty of stuff for the kids to do. I mean, I grew up out in the damn cow pasture.
Yeah.
You know, tipping cows and snipe shooting or snipe hunting.
Go walk at what's the place in Sebring?
Highlands Hammock.
Highlands Hammock. Go walk at Highlands Hammock. There's plenty to do.
Yeah.
By the way, what's the lake? If you're going into Lake Placid on the left hand side on 27,
right across from the boat dealership.
Yeah, that is one of the most beautiful views.
I hate to say this, but I don't know the name of that.
You know the view.
I do know the view
that
because
is one of the most beautiful views.
I bought my boat from that boat dealer, and we actually test run it on that lake.
That is a gorgeous.
Can't tell you the name of the lake.
For all you that live in other places, Midwest, mountains, plateaus area, this lake is the closest you're going to get to a plateau.
Yeah.
You are literally on a highway. You look down, and there is this gorgeous lake. And as you were talking about Highlands County, people forget that that's a gorgeous area.
Oh, yeah.
It's a gorgeous area.
Honestly, if you want to come to Florida and experience true Florida, to us, drive straight down 27.
Yeah.
State Road 27 or Highway 27, whatever you want to call it. It's 27 to us. But
back in the day, it was bloody 27.
Yeah, it was bloody 27.
At least now we've changed it to 27.
But now, you know, but you go to Orlando and the coastal areas. Yeah. It's a lot of growth built up, but true natural Florida with, you know, the cows, with the orange trees. They're groves. They're not orchards. They're groves. But just the wildlife and the amount of vast land, vacant land that is still in Florida. People think that Florida's grown up. I mean, I drove back yesterday from Georgia and came down through Jacksonville and down 95 into Palm Coast and Daytona, cut across through Deltona and Sanford, Lake Mary, Apopka, Altamont. I could not wait to get out of that area because it's the hustle and bustle. Well, it's not me.
You said the 27. My daughter worked in Ocala or Citra actually for a year, and then she's been up in Tallahassee for about a year and a half. And it's funny because Michelle and I were talking the other day about if you go south, everybody's like, how much there's so much growth. If you go south of Lake Placid, there's Florida. If you go north of Ocala, there's Florida.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, all of those are going to grow, but they're still Florida. So if you are wanting to come down and find out what Florida is, that's what the South Florida buyers have done. They've been like, hey, it's costing me too much to buy in Miami, West Palm, Jupiter.
Even to live.
Yeah. So there are areas in Florida or in Polk County that you and I would be like, why would you want to live there? But they can get acreage and they can live and they can enjoy life. And that's where you and I as mortgage brokers and as realtors, we have to say, it's not our life.
Mm-hmm.
It's their life. If this is their dream and we realize, well, I live on 8.5 acres. It's not that you have property, but you do have property because you're in cattle, you're in others. So you have, maybe you don't live on property, but you have property.
Right.
And they just want that same feeling of, let me be solo.
Oh yeah.
For a while.
Well, I know a lot of the South Florida people out there towards that River Ranch area
Yes.
out on 630.
Yeah.
You know, I run into them here in town from time to time. They're like, "Oh yeah, I bought a ranch out there on 630." I'm like, "Really? How big's your ranch out there?" He goes, "Man, it's 5 acres."
Yeah.
To us, a ranch is like
Yeah.
500,000 acres. You know, but to the folks from like South Florida, Homestead, Kendall, Miami, places like that, 5 acres is like their dream ranch. They come up and get chickens and put a few cows out there and really make it nice. But you know, but it's all about perspective. To me, a ranch is 1,000 acres.
Yeah.
You know, we have Rollins Ranch out here.
Yeah.
Maxie Ranches, Rafter T down there in Sebring. You know, it's like 5,200 acres. Lightsey Cattle Company. You know, I can go on and on, but those are ranches to me.
And before you get pissed off that these people are selling these properties, we are privy to the fact that for many years there was Ben Hill Griffin Citrus.
Mm-hmm.
We all are adults. Kids are kids. Kids have different likes. My daughter loves car racing, but she's not who I am. She also likes the fact that I race motorcycles. That's not her thing. She's in horses.
It's probably cheaper to race cars than ride horses,
Yeah.
isn't it?
But my point of that is these parents, they owned these vast amounts of land all over the state of Florida. And some of these companies have had, they're the largest contiguous landowner in the state of Florida. Cool, fantastic. The parents are done. It's now the kid's turn. And the kid says, I don't really care about this. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what's going to happen? They're going to sell it. They're not doing it because they want to be wealthy. They're doing it because they don't care about that part of. It's not because they don't want to run agriculture that's being shipped off to other countries. It's not because they don't want to run cattle that's being shipped up. It's because it's not their love. So for all of you locals who are pissed off, stop being pissed off. We all have different loves that we like. You can't fault them. If you don't like what they're doing, buy it.
Exactly.
Buy it.
I mean, just here in Frostproof, we have a Polk County local home builder that's coming and built, 60, 70 homes here. Raised a lot of stink in this small town. Frostproof is going to grow. And unfortunately, we can't keep that from happening. But one thing was said at one point to a homeowner that had some homes being built around them was like, hey, if you didn't want them to build, you should have bought it yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and now there's smart growth, then there's planned growth, which every community throughout the entire state needs to have. But in the end of things, just like you said, if that's not their passion, my daughter just graduated from Warner. That other school, you know, on the other side of Crooked Lake.
Yeah.
She just graduated from there with a major in ag and a minor in business. Her passion is ag. She would love to have 1,000-acre cattle ranch, you know,
and
raise animals and things like that.
They're still available.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Maybe not right.
So like with her passion for agriculture, she went to work with Polk County Farm Bureau over in Bartow. Mm-hmm. You know, her passion is ag. She will be a spokesperson in the ag industry for many, many years to come because that's her passion. She was an FFA, 4-H, you know, went to state conventions, national FFA convention and all that. But that's where her passion is. My youngest daughter, she really care less about ag. Hers is nursing. So.
And she wants the newest hospital right next to that.
Correct.
But the funny thing is you say that about the ag thing, and I say this in the nicest way possible of if it's not what you want in your area, then be vocal. When you see the signs go up, when you see things are going on, we talk about interest rates and But we also know that things can be shaped by what people speak about in their community. We've had this happen 4 miles from you up the road on Crooked Lake.
Yeah. There
is a huge fight going on right now about what's going to happen in that land. Well, guess what? The people that actually care, and it was hilarious. I smile, and it also was like, oh, that's damn right, but it pissed me off at the same point. If you want to say something in our community, own property. I can't argue with that. And if you truly want to make a note, if it's Polk County, then go speak. Mm-hmm. If it's a city, if it's Lake Wales is going through that with this PVC pipe plant, and Frostproof is going to go through it. All of these areas are going to go through it. If it's truly important to you, are we complaining, or is it really important? Because if we complain, I can go on Facebook and post about it. But if I don't show up at the city council, county
commissioners meetings,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So if it really matters, if you bought this land because you wanted that freedom to, well, I have 6 acres right here by myself. Cool. I don't want 15 houses. Then go talk about it. And why is it important? And what did it mean to you? Doesn't mean that it's going to change. It means that you have a voice. And I think that's where Michelle and I are kind of like, business is business. I've been around the racing world my whole life. Rules sometimes change during the middle of a race because of situation. So as much as I care, I can't be angry at if a city's like, this helps our tax bracket.
Mm-hmm.
If a county says, this brings in more money, I may not like it because I'm from Babson Park. We have 3 developments going in Babson Park right now. 3 developments. That is 35 homes.
And how many homes has Babson Park had built in the last 30 years?
Yeah. I mean, there's been
maybe 25%.
4 neighborhoods in Babson Park, and now all of a sudden 135 homes. Mm-hmm. People that didn't have neighbors all of a sudden look out their window and it's like, I have 3 houses right here. Oh, so I can fuss about it, or I can also realize there was an opportunity. That property was for sale. I could have bought it.
Yeah.
But what would I have done with it? And that's where we have to figure out is the realistic side of, I love what I have, but what could I have done with it?
Mm-hmm.
When we cleared our property, the best part, you'll love this as a mortgage person. I was out cleaning stuff. I had like 7 cars stop. What are you building? Nothing. No. What are you doing? Nothing. I actually wanted to say I was building like a Waffle House or something because people were not satisfied with the fact that I was saying,
I'm just cleaning up my property.
Cleaning up the property. Why are you clearing all this property off? Because I want to.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty. And they're so concerned about what I'm doing with my property, they forget to worry about what's happening in their neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
And as far away as that is from mortgage rates, it's similar. I'm buying this home for me. I'm paying more money now. I should give a big shit as to what's happening in my neighborhood. So I think people that are buying homes now, you got to buy, you got to move, you want to do this. Care.
Mm-hmm.
Care. Don't just move in and say, well, it's my home. Care. And,
right.
And I think that's where I get in trouble with the normal realtors. Because you know me, I'm going to speak my piece. Care. You do the same thing. You're so high on the veterans, which corners you of like, well, I bet you people are pissed off because you love America and women's soccer lost.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you there's like, you're a redneck. You don't even care what happens. Yeah, I care. Like, I cheer for America every time I can. So, True Lending, you don't care about them. The same way that Michelle and I speak my piece and say, yes, I care. You have to speak up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only the facilitator of you moving in here. I can't change the dynamic of what's happening. Once you own that, your name's on those county rolls. You do that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
bet you care what happens on Wall Street.
I care what happens on Wall Street, but then also
E Street or A Street or.
But then going back to caring, there's, and I think it's a false perception on the mortgage side and on the real estate side of buyers or sellers. Oh, that realtor, all they want's a commission check.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard it, and I'm sure Michelle's heard it 100 times over. But I've talked to Michelle at 9:30 at night working on a transaction. I talk to clients. If I'm awake, I'm working. And my biggest pet peeve, Trey, is this: when a agent or a buyer calls me, my hours aren't 9 to 4.
Yeah.
My hours are when I'm awake, Monday through Sunday. And the first thing they say, "Hey, Jason, sorry to bother you."
If you were sorry, you wouldn't have called me.
Well, but it's not that. It's, if I answer my phone, you're not bothering me.
Yeah.
If I'm busy watching my daughter play soccer, show her steer, whatever it is,
you don't answer the
I'm
phone.
not going to answer the phone.
Yep.
But there's a lot of real estate agents and a lot of lenders that just don't answer their phone, period.
Yeah.
And that's, second pet peeve is not answering your phone. It's simple. Todd Bitter, I've known Todd for a couple of years now. He's a legend in the mortgage industry, but his motto or his slogan is to be successful in the real estate business, whether you're on the agent side or the lender side, answer your damn phone.
Yeah.
That's all it takes to be successful. Not all, but that's the biggest thing, because I know for me, every time I get a contract in, I call the listing agent. I want to ask about the property, know if there's anything that's going to pop up in the home inspection, things like that. But I also want to introduce myself to the listing agent as well. The number of listing agents that, number one, don't answer their phone, and number two, that they don't even call you back.
Yeah. One of the funniest things is,
and by not calling back, whenever that deal goes sideways for a day or two, they're the ones going to be blowing up my phone. And I'm like, listen, we could have addressed this on day one of the contract signing.
I think one of the funniest things is Michelle, you've dealt with her for years. She is a super private person, and she doesn't always answer her phone immediately. And the funny thing is, it's not that she's not answering her phone immediately. We also, for those that don't know, we run full service property management.
Mm-hmm.
So we run all the rentals through our office as well. And we're responsible for that. So we have a full-time assistant who handles all of that. If Michelle's phone rings and it's not a number that she knows, she sends it to the assistant, because she doesn't know if it's, I was taking a shower and the shower was clogged. She doesn't know. What her parents, I love them. They're awesome. You got to answer your phone. Well, if I answer my phone all the time, I'm never going to get any work done. I live with this woman. I live with her. The other night, I'm scratching her back. We're getting ready to go to bed. The dogs are in the bed. All of a sudden, she pops up. Did I touch something wrong? Like I'm scratching her back, and she pops up. She's got the iWatch that has its own phone and everything, and she's reading, and I'm like, oh my God, it must be really important. It must be really important. Oh, no, it's one of the tenants. As soon as she shows Jason True property, your phone number becomes Jason True in her phone.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what happens every time Jason True calls her? She answers. Our bosses laugh because they're like, you've got to answer the phone every time it rings. She has tried to explain, boss, mom, dad, if I do that, I'm never going to get anything done. I have a full-time assistant that handles all that. I always joke because her um, reviews, business reviews, I always want to take them in and go, I think she does okay.
Yeah.
I think she does. I think she does okay. I giggle because they don't necessarily approve, but because of the fact that we run this completely separate segment, like the rental, the rental versus sales is
totally
it's two different businesses. So, but the cool thing is, like you were talking about answering the phone, I race off-road motorcycles and we travel all over the southeast, Midwest of the country, all over. I can tell you right now, we have been in Tennessee and a deal has been finalized and they had no idea that we were in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good aspect about our job.
Yes, because of the fact that everything is now virtual or digital or whatever you want to call it, the only thing we can't do from a vehicle in another state is show property.
Correct.
That's the only thing we can't do. We were in Wyoming for 10 days, and it was the best 10 days of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And she never lost the deal because they had no idea where the hell we were. And she's talking to him. She has, because you're in the same industry we're in. When we travel, we have to make sure we have an AT&T account, we have a Verizon account, so wherever we are, we have internet so that we can work. And when I'm out bouncing off trees in Egypt, Alabama, she has internet.
Mm-hmm.
And I come in from a 60-mile enduro, beat up, and she's like, hey, I was talking with so-and-so. We're going to show them property on Tuesday when we get home. And it's like, hey, she doesn't care. We have more business.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a chance to prove to you that, not me. I don't care if it's Aaron Floyd. I don't care if it's Josh Kirchie. There are some really good agents out there who do a damn good job. Give us the chance to show you that we can do a good job. And I don't say that in a derogatory tone. There are some really good agents out there.
There's some really good agents out there. But I'll tell you this, there's some really shitty agents out there as well.
And give them a chance. And then call us.
Yes.
And guess what? If that means you've already talked to them and we have to give them a cut, we'll give them a cut because we want your business 6 years from now when you sell.
Correct.
So I don't care. We don't care. Michelle and I don't care. We've had people like, oh, I talked to this. Cool. We'll cut them a referral. Fantastic. Cool. Mm-hmm. That's fine. We want you because we're going to be in contact with you for the next 6 years. Anyway, we talked about this on one of the podcasts I was on a while back. We want you 7 years from now.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not that I want that referral whenever you get ready to sell the house that I finance for you.
Yeah.
And you go buy a new house or something. I want that referral, obviously.
Yeah.
But I also want to finance your kids' homes.
Yeah.
I also want to finance your aunt and uncle's homes.
Yep.
I also want to finance your parents' homes. So service, everybody says, I provide the best customer service. Well, what are you doing to take that one next step?
Yeah. What do you want from us?
Correct.
What do you want from us?
So,
like, do you want a sticker? Do you want, like, business cards? Cool. Like, I just passed my broker's exam. I'm a broker associate now. We have new business cards. We've had them. Michelle had them for a year before I ever took the test because she thought I was going to pass. And I was lazy and decided I was going to wait till the last minute to do it. But does it matter that we're both broker associates? Or does it matter that my wife really supplies good service and I am a good orator? Like, does it matter? Does it matter that you can... Your deal is business cards. Your deal... Is your deal any better, or is it the fact that you're here and I'm not going to pick up a phone and talk to someone I don't know who I spoke to 2 months ago?
Correct.
That's where we try to differentiate ourselves. But like you do, what do we do what have we done for 7 years to get you to come back to us?
Mm-hmm.
And Michelle's been in business long enough now that those customers are now starting to come back.
Oh yeah.
So because what is it? 7 years average. 7 years people buy and they sell every 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
True home buyers. And I told Michelle, I said, we're terrible realtors because you and I bought our home 23 years ago and we've never moved. We're terrible examples of what this business is supposed to look like. So, but yeah, I mean, we just try to be good people. And if you don't like our politics, or if you don't like what I do for fun, or if you don't like the fact that Michelle wears jeans every day,
find someone that you like.
But by the way, we run an office that
because honestly, Trey, we do business with people we know, we like, and we trust.
Yeah,
that's who we do business with.
And that sounds cheesy,
no matter who you are.
Yeah,
but it's know, like you, and trust you.
I was speaking of that. I was getting service done on my Jeep. When we bought my Jeep, we bought a package that I got 3 services done through the dealership.
Right.
I happened to run into my salesman this last week. He's awesome dude. Awesome dude. From Bartow. We were talking about stuff. We were talking about Neil Tice, the guy that does quantum physics. And he's like, man, I love quantum physics. And I was like, holy shit. There's a car salesman in Bartow that loves quantum physics. He's like, oh yeah, like I really, and he's gotten a promotion. He's been upgraded. I'm like, you got to talk my wife in. Like, we've been Ford people, GMC people. I really like the Max cab thing that Dodge has, Ram has.
Mm-hmm.
I said, at some point in the next couple of years, we're going to need a diesel. My wife loves the Max cab thing. You talk her into that. He's like, yeah, I'm so happy I got to catch up with you. This guy is like this cool salesman guy. My wife had a great experience. She set up that whole deal with us. I'm like, if those two got together, he could make another sale because she appreciated him.
Mm-hmm.
It's a local thing. It's a local. If you like us, cool. But also, like, we're Michelle and Trey Real Estate. We're with Century 21 at your service. There are 12 agents. If you don't like Michelle, we got 7 other agents in the office that can probably fit you. We're cool with that. Like,
right.
Hey, cool. As long as we're helping you do what you want to do. Same thing for you. There are other people in your, yes, you don't want to give away business, but if that means you help them, man, I didn't really have a good rapport with this guy, but he helped me. Right. Guess what? Someone's going to be like, cool, I'll give him a shot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's where
no doubt.
I am in this business is, I don't care enough, but I care so much.
No doubt. No doubt. Trey, I know you have to get on to another podcast.
I know. I got to talk about motocross.
Exactly. There you go, man. Trey, I really appreciate you coming in. So
we're going to do this again. May I self-promote for a moment?
Go ahead.
I've always looked at Jason on his Facebook videos, and at some point I'm going to get Jason, and we're gonna talk about real estate a little bit, but we're also going to talk Beyond the Curve. That's my podcast, and Beyond the Curve is something when you're in racing, you always look through the corner to go where you want to go. And my daughter, it's so funny. I always thought about Beyond the Curve. One day my daughter was taking a horse lesson, and she was jumping, and her coach was, look through the corner. And my wife and I were out putting out poop. So horse barn.
Yeah.
And I stopped and I looked at Michelle and I was like, Beyond the Curve. Brianna would jump and she would look to the left. And when she would land, the horse would go to the left.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, this is racing? Completely not important to this thing. But I want to sit down with you, but thank you so much for allowing me to join you. And before I leave, I have to shout out the guy behind the camera, Mikey Beasley. You have been an inspiration to me for, 4 or 5 years now. And at some point I'd like to I don't even care if we're on video. We can just sit down and shoot the breeze because your intellect with video, music, and your chasing dreams has been amazing. So thank you for being here with us today. And I'm really
behind the camera.
Yeah, I want to say, by the way, like, I run a pretty I look at this, you got the lights. I run a really shitty setup. But I have fun doing it. So I want to thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you.